All right, guys, what is up? We are here in a emergency boardroom meeting as significant developments have really impacted the direction of the franchise. After episode 2 was dropped, within an hour and a half, the franchise was fielding calls from angel investors who were looking to invest into the franchise. Now, the nature of this is the angel investor or two that are very interested are very concerned about their lack of knowledge in A, the crypto space, and B, in the NBA. And together, that lack of market knowledge, they felt as though it might be better to trust the assets or the investment funding that they're willing to commit towards the space. They see the value, they see the upward potential, but they are not necessarily comfortable doing it themselves. And they'd rather have the investment in someone who perhaps knows a little bit more. Not any better, because that's definitely not me. Again, this isn't financial advice. The Burn podcast will not be entertaining future angel investment opportunities at this juncture. We have committed ourselves to a beginning group of investors, and that is all that we are considering at the moment. But what we did with these angel investors is that we reviewed the business to date and how the business has been conducting itself, not only for the integrity of the business, but also where would this investment funding go towards should the Burn podcast receive it. And, we'll kind of go line by line. So, in these first slew of purchases, when through the 3rd and the 7th, when the franchise had just begun, it was just a lot of investing. Purchased 5 common packs, 3 of the release 7s and 2 of the release 8s for a total of $60. Wookie Cookies offered us a welcome gift of a Daniel Theis block card. That, again, came at no cost. Very nice move out of him. And then we ordered the Deck the Hoops pack. Fortunately for us, we were able to get one. Many people were not able to. There was a lottery subsequent that we were not able to participate in. But that kind of rounded out $290. And at that point, we had about $30 left to play with. And we made our initial purchases that were really designed to win the first week of Swish with Ben Simmons and Malcolm Brogdon. And, we were upfront with our angel investors and let them know that Ben Simmons, went out shortly after we acquired him. Bradley Beal was potentially out with COVID. Jason Tatum was out with COVID. And Hayward and Djokovic only were going to play 3 games that week. So, our initial investment, while we liked the long-term potential, really kind of was sunk right out of the gate. So we decided to, borrow against the franchise, and we were able to acquire Trae Young, Russell Westbrook, and kind of the 2 main pieces. We identified assists as a consistent place to find points in Swish. And we were, moving forward with that sort of game plan. We also really liked Steph Curry, 3-point shot, and the Christian Wood dunk card as a good upwards play, something that has long-term value, and not so much in the short term as, now we're starting to collect some serious assets. We then moved to our music deal. We had to part ways with 3 Moments in order to secure our licensed music. Once we get into the asset sheet, we'll break that music deal down. But ultimately, we forked over three pieces that didn't necessarily have Swish value, which was good. And, I think the value in those cards are in the future, and they don't necessarily affect us now. And because we like some of our other cards, if these cards grow in value, it means our other cards have as well. It means that the podcast hopefully has grown as well. So we're really comfortable with that. And then ultimately our last little exchange of moves was We had acquired a second Ben Smith assist card on the marketplace, and we were doing so because we saw some upward trend with that value. We had purchased the card for $3, and we were hoping to make a little bit of a profit and flip it around. We were able to sell it for $5. We wanted to do this move maybe sooner than anticipated because I really thought that Jaylen Brown and Donovan Mitchell were good options that we needed on our bench in kind of an odd week. I mean, Jaylen Brown is putting up a bunch of 2-point buckets. Donovan Mitchell has gone on real hot streaks before, so I'd love to play him when he's hot. And DeAndre Ayton, I think, is a player that will grow. I think he's got a Christian Wood sort of ceiling. He's got some work to do, but at a buck, I felt pretty good about that. Certainly can't go down from there. So that's at least an asset that'll hold value. So those were our transactions. And after we kind of explained our transactions and the motives behind them, the angel investors wanted to know, well, what are our assets and liabilities? Because the main focus out of mostly all of those moves was to put forth a lineup that was going to be really competitive week to week while being mindful of cost. So as a small market fantasy franchise, that was kind of our intention of our moves. Because of that, the angel investors kind of thought, maybe we are not maximizing or optimizing our cash value. And as a small market, these investors wanted to know that they were going to make money if they were going to put investment forward. So we kind of said, well, even though we weren't trying to optimize, I do think that we did end up on the plus side of things. And so we wanted to break down our asset and liabilities. Our liabilities are very simple. We have $350 in long-term capital that we knew that we were going to stay in there for a little bit. We borrowed against the expected future growth of the franchise for another $100 because like we talked about in those transactions, we thought we saw some need there. So out of our series of trades, what we ultimately were able to gain forward was $12 on the plus side. $12 on the plus side. The purchase value was ultimately what we paid for it on the marketplace, and what is the current value. The current value was derived from the current low market ask. So it may be a hair inflated. However, the prices have been steadily climbing across the board. Some of the lower end items haven't grown as much as some of the higher end items for obvious reasons. However, I think there's room to grow, and I think that while these numbers are maybe not the true price point today, I think they're actually going to be on the lower end, and not but a couple months from now. It is true that the Series 1 cards now are exploding in value. They are now becoming common cards. And the cards that I'm losing some net value here are Series 2 cards, and that gives me hope that we're going to really turn it around. In particular, this Russell Westbrook card, while we're down here, I do think that there's some growth. I really do. But even, not necessarily optimizing, we're still on the plus side of things, which is encouraging for us. We then kind of listed out the pack cards that remain on the roster. Now, if you recall, we did trade a Ben Simmons that we had picked up and then flipped. That ultimately was turned around for a profit of $1.75. Ultimately, those got exchanged for players that are in our assets, so that's why they remain in our asset column there. But from the packs, we did have to relinquish Jordan McLaughlin. As I've kind of forgot, Colin Sexton was purchased on the marketplace for $2 and was traded at a $2 price point. But ultimately in the packs, the market value, as I derived it, totals to $424 with a total cost of $60 of a total of 5 packs. So really our net value here this number is wrong. It actually should be equal this guy minus that guy, and it says $364. So ultimately, from there, we're making $12 on the market. We got $64 on the plus side from the packs that we earned. We do have the asset of a music license. At current, that doesn't have any market value, but it is an asset that we have. And then ultimately, our biggest nest egg is the Deck the Hoops pack. Now, we have the Deck the Hoops pack valued at $11.48. How do we get to that juncture? Well, let's break this down. These numbers came from Intelligible Market, done by my man Verman, does a great job. And these are our current market lows for our players on our left-hand side. Now, DeAndre Jordan and Goran Dragic are kind of our laggards in this group. We don't hope to get those guys, and they are occurring at a high enough portion, but there's only 114 of them out there. And there's some notable jersey mints available. There's a Giannis jersey mint available, a LeBron jersey mint, Anthony Davis. While Tatum doesn't have a 0 mint, the number 1 mint is available, so that's a big card. And the Goran Dragic jersey, I believe, is still available. So there's some highly priced items still hidden in packs, so I'm feeling good about that. Ultimately, I calculated the total floor value remaining in packs and divided it by the packs that remain. You can see that formula up here, D13 divided by B13, and for a total of 1148. Okay, and so, there's some risk there. There's no question about that. But again, that's just the legend card. There's still 3 rare cards that I think will go for a good little penny. And now there's some common cards that you never know what's going to pop in there. So excited to see, when the time comes, what that might look like. But we feel good that our calculation is that we're up just about 200%. And when we showed this to our angel investors, they were really excited because they, again, agreed that this number was conservative and that the future of this general space is very bullish. And the only thing really holding this franchise back would be added investment. And the angel investors are prepared to give us $1,000 worth of capital. And before they did so, they were wondering what we would do with it. And ultimately, what we would do with $1,000 worth of capital is that we would collect 5 or 6 common packs, maybe get to about $150, $75 worth of packs. I like that price point. I feel like you're going to pop at least one card that's going to have some serious value in that 5 or 6 collection. And then I would hold on and try to just surf the market. That conversation we are going to hold private. The angel investors have some particular players they really like and have some price points they're shooting for. So we're going to hold off on divulging what those price points are. However, what I will say is that they also value the Swish fantasy component, and they are calculating Swish fantasy components into this purchase. And I think that's a different sort of spin. I feel like they're kind of following our lead from a franchise perspective. I don't know if that's where the market is today. I don't think that the market is necessarily valuing the Swish component as it pertains to the rare and legendary cards. So we'll see how that goes. No final decisions have been made yet, but we're looking to invest in about, I think we're going to maybe go closer to $100 worth of common packs. Then wait to see if we can't snag a rare legendary pack. We want to have funding for that, as well as good market deals as they occur. So thanks for watching this episode, and stay tuned for later in the weekend for when we break down who will be starting in next week's Swish fantasy lineup. Thanks, guys.